Super Rugby Power Rankings, folks. After 7 rounds of the competition, we're bringing back the Power Rankings. A few people have asked for them. Let's rank the teams from bottom to top for this thrilling 2025 season to see how the teams are doing. Remember, the Power Rankings, we haven't done them for a wee while, are trying to look a little bit more dynamically than the table. The table shows you your wins and losses, and you get the same amount of points for beating everyone. Power Rankings, we're trying to award kind of form a little bit more fairly. Like if you beat a strong team, it's kind of worth a little bit more. If you beat a weak team, less so. Wins at home are worth less than away. Wins by big margins are worth more than small margins. That kind of thing. And I have also kind of preloaded the teams from round one based on their 2024 standings. So like my Blues started off as kind of one of the big scalps to get. Maybe less so now, but we'll go through them and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how the teams have come out for the first Power Rankings of the year. Bottom spot is the Drua, and that matches their spot on the table. Sadly, the Drua are not in good form. They have won 1 game from 5. They've had some big results against them, and, some which have been a little bit more impressive. But, yeah, barring that one win, which was a good win over the Chiefs, it's not been a lot to cheer about for the Drua thus far, as we are kind of pretty much halfway through the season. They will need to pick things up quick, smart. Good news for them was they were on the bye in the most recent round, as were the Blues, who, as I said, I started off the Power Rankings as the kind of top-ranked side. I've just kind of done it round by round in the back end. From rounds 1 through 7, the Blues started off at the top and quickly fell. They opened the competition at home to the Chiefs. It was a rematch of the final and we lost. Most recent home game against the Crusaders, we lost emphatically. There's 1 win over a Hurricane side in there, but also a 1-5 record. So also matching their spot on the table. The Blues are in 10th. Moana Pacifica are in 9th, which might seem a little bit unfair, seeing as they're coming off kind of a good win over the Crusaders, but that is up. Prior to this week, I had Moana Pacifica lower than this in the back end, but yep, they've gone up with their win over the Crusaders, 45-29, which was really, really impressive. So if they can put in an 80-minute performance week in, week out, they will certainly shoot up the Power Rankings and shoot up the table. Their spot on the Power Rankings also matches their spot on the table. And then we've got the Highlanders in 8th, which thus far is kind of pretty self-explanatory because it also matches their spot on the table. They are at 2-4. 2 wins, 4 losses. They've had some close losses, which is at least a little bit encouraging, but they kind of need to be able to finish off results if they are going to do anything this year. Different from the log is the Force in 7th. The Force are maybe a little bit punished for the fact that they didn't finish within the playoffs last year, so their starting point was a little bit lower than everybody else. Their record is 3-4, which is slightly better than the Highlanders, who have got them above. They recently lost to the Reds, who are one of the high flyers this year, but it was a close loss away from home, so we didn't really kind of punish the Force too much for that. They've certainly been competitive and at times kind of unleashing some damage in this year's Super Rugby. So there are still some really mighty encouraging signs. Next is the Waratahs. I've kind of got them in that bottom of the playoff spots if it was my ranking, which is maybe a little bit harsh, but the Waratahs were poor last year, so their starting point was a little bit lower. They've obviously recruited really well, so it's a very different team from the team that played last year, but they've beaten the Highlanders, beaten the Drua, beaten the Force, and beaten the Brumbies. So you could argue that they haven't had that many big scalps, and they've only been winning at home, which is maybe why they're not a little bit higher on the Power Rankings than they are here. Next, we've got the Hurricanes, who have been a proper mixed bag in Super Rugby thus far. Hurricanes' record is 3-3, so that's about as mixed as it gets. I think they're the only side with a kind of 50-50 record. Everyone else is either a winning record or a losing record. They flogged the Waratahs, so maybe it's justified that they're above the Waratahs in their most recent round. They've had injuries, but yeah, they are certainly a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde side thus far. And then the Brumbies round out the top side in the second row. I've got them in 4th on the Power Rankings, which matches their spot on the log. So that part, I guess, is pretty fair enough. 4-3 record is by no means emphatic. I think you'd say they are not looking the best Aussie team, which has been their mantle for quite some time. But, they beat the Highlanders in their most recent game. They were given a game of it, but they've got the bye next. So we'll see what kind of form they can capture once the bye is done. 3 spots left. The medal spots, bronze. 3rd spot is going to the Crusaders. Despite their rather disappointing result against Moana Pacifica at the weekend, they've beaten the Hurricanes, the Reds, the Force, and the Blues. Blues they beat away from home, although they beat them relatively recently when we were ranking the Blues as not the hardest side to beat, but it was good to get an away win for them. They beat the Reds, who have been one of the better sides this year, the only side to beat the Reds thus far, so they have claimed a few scalps, but they will be really disappointed with their result at the weekend to Moana Pacifica, so they may have been higher if not for that. Top 2 spots, got the Reds in second. Whoopsie daisy, not meaning to put you guys upside down. The Reds in second, they've got a 5-1 record, which is the same as the Chiefs, but I am ranking them slightly below the Chiefs thus far. When I say I basically just put in the results into a kind of formula. So the formula has spit out the Reds below the Chiefs. The Chiefs have that top spot. There is not much between them. But the Chiefs have had some pretty big scalps. Like to get the result over the Blues in round 1 that they did was mightily impressive. Blues were going into that one as the reigning champions, the favourites, and the Chiefs just came into town and took them apart. The good news is the Chiefs and Reds are playing this weekend, so I'll kind of get a better idea because the Reds are the top side on the table. Maybe I'm doing the Reds a disservice, but as I said, there's not much between them. The Reds are coming off a result against the Force, which was a bit of a mission, but they got it done against the Force, and the Chiefs are coming off a bye, so they should be fit, ready, and raring to go against the Reds this weekend. You guys let us know your thoughts. How fair or not do you think the power rankings are? The bottom sides all pretty much match the table, but there's a few guys in the middle and at the top which are in differing positions. You guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.